My name is Ronnie Crocker. It's hard for me to get started all the time, but
Meet
even
Ronnie
with the
Crocker.
camera going and everything, I want to be able
Family
to,
man,
to not waste
dedicated
time
parent,
to speak to
and
you all.
productive member of his community.
I have been in
Sounds like just the kind of person you'd choose for a neighbor. But just 3 years ago, Ronnie Crocker's neighborhood was a cell block in the Florida State prison system.
When I was 17, I just went out into the world ignorant, not knowing of the things that I should know. I was scared to death, a lot of fear. I was very extremely shy around the age of 17. And during this time, 17 is when I first started smoking cigarettes, when I first took my first drink. First drug I took was alcohol. So from that point, it was like a relief. I felt I had found something that was going to help me cope. Then I just went on from there through a progression of that first drink all the way to the other end of the spectrum of being addicted to heroin and on a methadone clinic and being totally addicted to cocaine for especially the last 3 years and even especially the last 3 months of my active addiction. I just went along with the flow, went along with the crowd, got into crime, and it's really what brought me to going into prison. I'm 39 years old now. For 19 of those 39 years, I was either on probation, which the first time I got arrested, they put me on probation for purse snatching. That was the first crime I ever did, and it was for heroin. On from there, went to shoplifting. I did the first burglary I did. I got caught, did a lot of shoplifting, disorderly conduct. But it ends up for 19 of those years, I was either on probation, I was in a jail, I was in a halfway house. But it was just that revolving door syndrome, I call it. I would go to jail. I would say, oh, what have I done now? I'd try to get myself, my thoughts together to get out, to get ready. I'd be out for 6 months. I'd go back to the old friends, go back to the drugs. I'd end up locked up again. That went on for about 15 years, in and out of jail. I just could not break free of it. I have been out of prison now, going on about 3 years.
Ronnie Crocker has spent almost half his life in jail or on probation from the prison system. Yet today, Ronnie Crocker leads the life of a model citizen. You see, Ronnie is just one of thousands of men and women whose lives have been turned from hopelessness and despair to joy and service to the Lord through a unique program called Prison Ministry.
There were other programs. There were other times, like when I was back in the drug program, where it wasn't whether it was a good or bad program where I didn't receive the help. It took a working together. As I look back now, I still remember in my thoughts that time of when just before I met Frank Parker, just before I started to come to obey the gospel. And I had gone through a period where I was locked up for 2.5 years already in prison on this last sentence. And I was just sick and tired of being locked up, of looking at other older men that had been locked up for 10 years and they couldn't see when they were going to get out. And I would see myself as that. And I'm really looking at what my life had been up to that point, and I was sick and tired of it, of myself. I didn't like myself at all. I started to really make decisions that I need to do something. At this time, I had started to read the Bible. I was going to the different Bible studies that people would come in. What had appealed to me, I met Frank Parker, who's a gospel preacher from Sebring. I just went up to him and asked him, where should I go? Which church should I go to when I get out? I didn't have any foundation at the time, and I was looking for it. The questions I had asked him, he gave me not his answers, but he said, go to the Bible, look at this. He would give me scriptural answers. And right from the first with him, as I started to interact, I seen how there was a difference, how I started to see that there was a power in the message of the Bible. I had to mature. I had to start facing things, and it was through the help of primarily a gospel preacher that was coming in. I was at
Ronnie
DeSoto Correctional.
Was unusual,
and I was able to
in that he
bounce
was
things
a
off him.
seeker.
And
hey, this is a key. We have the old adage that you can take a horse to water, you cannot make him drink. Well, Ronnie was the one that not only wanted to go to the water, but he wanted to drink it. And he did very earnestly and very sincerely. He became quite known in the class for his questions. I began every class with a period of questions. The inmate can ask any question he wants to on the Bible, and we will work with them in that question. And it became soon very established that if nobody had a question, Ronnie always had a question, and they were serious questions. They were not trivial questions. And Ronnie would not take, for example, my answer. If I showed him, he would take that answer, he would go back to his dorm, and he would study.
I'm a totally new creation. And I say it boasting, but not really boasting, because it's the gospel. All I did is apply my life to the gospel.
Prison ministry is a Bible-based program designed to intervene in the lives of male and female inmates who are looking for the true way. A work of the Churches of Christ worldwide. The prison ministry program has intervened successfully in the lives of thousands of prisoners, baptizing more than 2,000 each year.
The thing that I try to bring to the inmate, the fact that they are an individual. This is my first priority, is that they are somebody. They may be just a number to the Department of Corrections. They may have been disowned by their families, by society. They may be looked upon by society as an outcast, as the scum, and there are those who look at them this way. But those of us, and those who I have contact with, and myself included, respect the inmate, first of all, as an individual, created in the image of God, equally valuable to every other person. This is my first message. This is my first and primary effort of working with the inmate, to instill with them the fact that they are somebody, that they are important, they are valuable, and they can be, through the power of the gospel, a productive member of society.
God looks upon our hearts. He'll look upon each of our hearts. It's like he looks upon...
While prison ministry is specifically aimed at bringing Christ and his peace into the lives of men and women trapped in a cycle of sin and crime, the prison ministry program serves more than just the inmates.
What do I get out of it? The joy, number one, of the salvation of a soul. Secondly, to see that particular individual grow and mature, see the joy in his life or her life, and then to see them becoming fruit-bearing Christians and seeing the joy of sharing the gospel with others, and it's just a continuous cycle. You can't put a dollar value on that. There is no dollar value. There is no money sufficient in this world to pay any prison worker I've ever met to do it for the pay. That cannot be it. That must not be it. Because first of all, the inmate will see right through you very quickly. If you're doing it for the money or because of some mere obligation to soothe your conscience or something, they'll see right through you. If it's not a commitment that comes from deep within, then you're wasting your time.
Ignorance is very dangerous. That's why the time you have in here, especially to study and everything, you need to take very much advantage of it. The church as a whole are too silent. It's easy, and I've listened to statistics and tapes where a Christian, when he or she first becomes a Christian, they have a lot of friends that are lost. And then as the years go by, those friends, after a while, all of their friends are Christians. And it's good being enveloped just around that and not to have, I would love to not have to deal with the world. It's hard. And I will admit that it is hard. It isn't so hard coming in to talk as a group as I just did and shaking their hands saying, yeah, hang in there, and going out. But to sit down for myself, and I've been in it, for me to sit down with an individual and start to talk to them, and when I start to see that there's going to be future contact between us and there's a chance that I could teach them the gospel, I start to get nauseous. It's scary to me because I got to give this person a part of me if he's going to be able to get. But there is a definite need for it for me. This keeps the fire going within me. It keeps me fresh not only to where I have been, but it is my whole purpose to try to reach others with the gospel. And that, it's kind of selfish. And I tell them when I go in, because it helps me. When I walk out of a prison, first of all, it's nice to be able to walk out, but also it feels good. I found out even while I was still in prison that's how you get happiness. So it's not just the prison ministry, and coming in is not just to reach these poor inmates. First of all, it's the Great Commission. We need to be bringing the gospel everywhere, but it's for them in itself. The church needs to get more involved in itself and reaching the lost for itself. Like I say, I just came alive, and it's for anybody. The message is for anybody. Go ahead.
In your community today, there are men and women in jail who are desperately seeking a way out of their cycle of despair. Prison ministry can offer these people the way out by introducing them to the gospel, the perfect pattern for their new lives.
I believe in a place like this right here, the more people come out and share with us and let us know that there's still hope. You know, people in here, they would not only respect staffs, but they'll respect each other, you know, and I feel that it's a big help. Because if people did not come out here and let us know, you know, or either talk to us, you know, you'd be surprised that there's so many people incarcerated that don't have nobody. They to the point that they want to commit suicide. I hear them out on the rec yard, they talk about, man, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do this right here. You know, you can't make it in this world. Don't nobody care nothing about you. I'm gonna go out and do the same thing. You know, and I hate hearing that. You know, I have to say something when people talk. I say, dog, brother, you know, there is hope.
If you are interested in starting such a program in your congregation, we can help with instructional materials, with counsel and advice, and most importantly, with support from a team of Christians who are currently active in prison ministry and who are ready to share their knowledge, experience, and insight into this valuable and important part of God's work.
Why is it important for society? Because if we discount the thousands of people just in our state that are in prison as no good, as never to be reclaimed, then that's a pretty serious statement. We have to continue, and I've learned this over the years, sometimes the hard way, we have to continue to look for the few. And in the case, Ronnie Crocker and others, but we're speaking in particular of Ronnie Crocker, was one of the few. Not only one of the few to hear the gospel, to obey the gospel, but to, even when he's released, and this is the real test, to continue. I quite frankly believe, and some inmates will challenge this, but I don't think many will, it's more difficult to live the Christian life on the outside than on the inside, because you have a controlled environment somewhat on the inside. Those Christians that are not involved personally certainly must be involved by encouraging those who are involved, upholding their hands, and supporting those who are converted to encourage them.
I have an 11-year-old son who I lost when I was in prison, who was in HRS and lost custody. My wife was still out there when I got locked up. She tried to take care of the kids, but being that she was on drugs, they ended up being turned over to HRS, to the courts. I started the fight when I was still in prison to get both of them back. Like I said, I was not able to with my daughter, but my son I have back with me today. I have full custody of him. He's been with me now, I guess, about a year and a half, and it's great. I appreciate him more today, being that there was that time that I lost him. It's sad that the things that he missed out from his childhood, you know, I could start getting into that and just feeling guilty and bad, but I decided just to go on from here, and I'm trying to give him what I didn't have, primarily the gospel.
Helping just one Ronnie Crocker find his way back to God's path makes all the work worthwhile. And there are thousands of Ronnie Crockers throughout the world waiting for someone to bring God's word and his love to their lives. Won't you help carry out the Great Commission?
All God's people says, amen.